BMW M3 has long been celebrated as a symbol of performance, engineering excellence, and automotive passion. The M3 success story began with the E30. From a present-day perspective, it is one of the most sought-after models, period. In 1985, the BMW Motorsport department originally developed a vehicle that was designed for touring car racing in the DTM. For the vehicle's homologation, however, BMW needed to produce 5,000 street-legal vehicles. As it happens, more than 17,000 of the various models were sold around the world by the end of production in 1991. So, what distinguishes the E30? For me, its technically cool design from the 1980s, an inline four-cylinder, naturally aspirated engine with 2.3-liter cylinder capacity and 195 horsepower, which later increased to 238 horsepower in the final version of the vehicle, the Sport Evolution. The second-generation BMW M3, the E36, or rather the Q car. The E36 was initially available in 3 body designs because originally it was not developed for motorsport. However, it was extremely successful in customer racing later on as well. It was available as a coupe when it on the market in 1992, and 2 years later as a convertible and a 4-door sedan. But what makes this vehicle so special is hidden under its hood. The first 3-liter inline 6-cylinder engine with 286 horsepower. When it was updated in 1995, it received a 3.2-liter 6-cylinder engine with 321 horsepower. 2 years later, in 1997, an innovation that was truly ahead of its time came onto the market, the sequential M gearbox, or SMG for short. It meant the driver no longer needed to use a clutch. To shift gears, all they needed to do was push or pull. My personal design highlight is the iconic door mirror cover, which has become a part of every generation to this day. The third version of the BMW M3, the E46, is my personal favorite. Broader fenders, more power, and more dynamics. Presented in 2000, it was available only as a coupe and convertible, but that made it no less spectacular. After all, the renowned 3.2-liter inline 6-cylinder now boasted 343 horsepower and truly had sheer pulling power. It also featured a variable limited slip differential at the rear axle, which created more grip and traction when the vehicle started up or conquered curves. The E46 also contained the second generation of the sequential M gearbox, or SMG, with shift paddles on the steering wheel, that made it even more a car derived from motorsport. What many people don't know is that the M3 was originally also planned as a touring, but never made it to series production. The fourth generation BMW M3, better known as the E90, arrived in 2007. The E90's sculptural design was the brainchild of Chris Bangle and featured a distinctive power dome on the hood. What makes this M3 so special? It was the first and only M3 with a V8 engine and had 4-liter cylinder displacement, 420 horsepower, and a fascinating sound. The fifth generation of the M3 appeared starting in 2014. It ushered in a small but important change in nomenclature, since the sedan was still called M3, but the coupe and convertible were M4 from then on. This generation was the first to incorporate the completely new inline 6-cylinder engine with M twin-power turbo technology. This engine combines the advantages of the high-revving, naturally aspirated engine with the power of turbo technology. Its peak performance of 431 horsepower and maximum torque of 550 Nm make this M3 quite special. It was also the first of its kind to feature a carbon roof, which also distinguishes the M3 as a true high-performance model. Now, after a long wait, the M3 is finally available as a touring model as well. However, BMW M GmbH's most sold high-performance model remains the M3 sedan. What makes the M3 so special for me? It's not just its suitability for endurance and everyday driving, it's also the feeling that I can experience its driving qualities anytime on the racetrack. The M Carbon bucket seat in particular makes me feel that way. It gives me both the ergonomics and comfort I need in everyday life and enough lateral support, which I value on the racetrack. Its exterior features an extremely distinctive front section, which also sets the M3 apart, as does its classic large kidney. LED headlights have been among the recent highlights of the new iconic design since mid-2024. Other highlights are the M leather steering wheel, which is the first to feature a flattened lower section, and the additional 20 horsepower in the top version. And for all the purists out there, yes, of course, the M3 is still available with a manual gearbox.